Great. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the October 2023 meeting of the Oak Hills Park Authority. Um, we're just going to get going, call to order, and I will do the roll call for board members. So Gene Dresko, chair, is here. Everybody else, just note present or here when I call your name. Alan Dunn.
Yeah.
Jen McAllister.
Present.
CJ Trimboli.
Here.
And Rich Dellinger.
Here, sorry, my camera isn't working for some reason, so you're gonna have to miss my ugly face.
Not at all. Your voice is coming through loud and clear, so that's good. I know at least Gary Leeds is confirmed not going to be able to attend, and Denise Brown, the treasurer, is planning to join in progress, hopefully around 7:30. And then Robert Stowers, we're not sure. So we have a quorum with 5 members present, and we can do business. The next item on the agenda is to accept the minutes from the September 14th special meeting. I perused them, and the main comment that I found as a recurring theme, nothing really conceptual, but the main comment that I found was misspelling of holiday. Pretty much everywhere it's spelled Holliday, but it's actually Holllyday. So that should be changed throughout. Any other comments on the minutes?
Fine by me.
Okay. Hearing no other comments, can I call for a motion to approve?
I'll approve.
Okay, I'm going to say Alan motioned and TJ seconded, because I heard TJ's voice coming in as well. And we'll just do a voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And that's 5 ayes, and that's all the members present. So there are no nays and there are no abstentions. So we'll consider those minutes approved with the adjustment of spelling holiday.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Next on the agenda is public comment. And let's see if we have members from the general public present, but I know there's also some desire for, I don't see anybody, any other participants not in the panelist list present. Jim Holliday, can you confirm that?
I can.
Okay. Then no kind of members from the public wishing to make public comments, but Don, I know that you gave me a heads up that you'd like to make some comments, and I think this is a good enough spot for you to do that. Oh, and just for the minutes and for Telesco, I'd like to note that Robert Stowers just joined and can be marked as present. So Don, let's just keep it brief, but love to hear what you have to say.
Sorry, guys. I'm at the restaurant, so it's a little busy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I missed last month's call, but I went back and watched it, and there were some comments in there that, again, kind of is one of the bigger reasons why we're choosing not to come back next year. And the biggest reason is the constant negativity that I keep hearing, and to be honest, outright lies sometimes. For example, last week, the Golf Pro wanted to say that people weren't using the restaurant during the golf outings, which is completely and utter false. I mean, we're up 4 events from last year, the golf outings, and every single golf outing that has chosen not to use us usually is because they go back to their own clubs. For example, Blind Rhino always goes back to their restaurant for dinner. St. Anne's has always gone back to their restaurant for dinner. There's a couple of events that always choose to either do beer and out on the course, or we do some kind of example out there, and then they go to their clubs or whatever. I believe Allen's club was the boat club. I believe they went back to their own club this year. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Alan.
100%. And I would just say, Don, right now that basically you were very professional. You're the person who approached me and sent me menus and sent me everything and gave me the option. And that was like in advance, and it was very professionally done. So I want you to know that it was our choice. We had a gala afterwards, but that was our choice, not anything that you did. You were very professional in the way it happened, and I want to commend you for that.
Thank you. And like I said, it goes back to, and I always say, my staff is top notch, and I will defend my staff forever, especially my GMs, Jen in the back office, and then Lisa, who runs the day-to-day up there. I can't tell you how hard that woman works, both of them, and I couldn't be prouder of their efforts. And Lisa is bartending tonight, but she's going to try to step into this call. But again, it goes back to just the constant negativity that I keep hearing over and over and over. Now, I will put my track record up as a restaurant person against the history at Oak Hills every single day and twice on Sundays. At some point, I'm telling you guys this as constructive criticism back. You as a group need to look in the mirror sometimes, because how many restaurants have you guys gone through in the last 10 years? At some point, the blame has to be looked at the model that you guys want to keep pushing. Because I can tell you, for example, we ran breakfast for the first 2 months up there, and Lisa can attest to this. There would be mornings where she sat there for 3-4 hours and had 0 people come in there. And then we continue to say, oh, you should keep doing breakfast. At some point, you have to look at the business model. You have to look at the revenue that's coming in versus the expense that you're putting out. And when breakfast is losing $1,000 over and over again, we're not going to keep throwing bad money after good. There's a reason why we have trouble covering cost up there, especially this time of year when it slows down and gets colder. During the call, I heard somebody literally say, why can't they be on call for like frost warnings? And I almost dropped my jaw when I heard that. And I have to say, to Denise's credit, she stepped in and she goes, well, you can't run a business like that. She's 100% correct. But again, you have people on the board that I think have a fundamental misunderstanding of how businesses, especially restaurants, are run. You can't continue to do certain things that don't work and then expect us to keep doing those things over and over and over again. It just doesn't work like that. Now, like I said, we've done everything we could this year. Our hours have been consistent. I keep hearing this inconsistent hours nonsense. I can show you the hours of these guys that punch in. I can show you the hours that we've been open. The only times that we close are when it's bad weather, which we have always notified you guys and said we're not going to open. Or if we're short-staffed, we let you guys know. Now, if we missed a day or two because of shortened staff, we always let you guys know that. But then I hear the survey, and the survey cracks me up too. The survey says we don't use the restaurant, and then and on top of that, they're like the restaurant has inconsistent hours. It's like you don't use the restaurant, but you say we don't have inconsistent hours. Or I hear the food's too expensive, which I just shake my head at. People say, "Oh, why is burgers $15?" I said, first of all, it's not a $15 burger. It's $15, and you're getting fries with that. Go to McDonald's right now, and go see how much that is. And I guarantee you're not getting better quality than we serve. So what I'm saying is, I get tired of having the reputation of myself and my restaurant, my brand, getting torn down, and especially certain people who have gone out of their way since we've been there to discourage people from coming in there. They've yelled at my staff in front of customers that have no bearing or they have no expertise in the restaurant business, but they want to yell at my staff or myself and tell me how to run the business. And I'm not going to name a name, but I think people know who I'm talking about because I've gone over this over and over. Now, again, this is a constant thing. And I'm not going to let people berate my staff and especially talk down the restaurant and then pretend that it's our issues. Now, listen, well, I'm gladly saying that we had some issues a year ago and we fixed it. But I'll tell you, last year too, I had more payroll than I ever had last year in our hours, and people weren't coming in to use the restaurant. So the model needs to change, because you can't expect any restaurant to come in there and do what you guys want them to do and expect all these hours and still give you a product and the service that you think that you can get out of it. I'm sorry, you can't. My suggestion is you guys take it in-house, because to me, it seems like everybody has a better idea on how to run the place. So I would take it in-house if I were you guys. Because I'm going to tell you, if anybody calls me to get some color on if they should go up there, I'm going to tell them the truth and be honest. And it's not to be a dick. It's to be honest, because I'm going to tell a fellow business owner, the model up there does not work. And you have a lot of negativity from people that work there. And I can tell you, because I have had friends that play golf up there, that will have people that literally say the Rangers, the Golf Pro will literally talk negative about the restaurant. 2 golfers. That is a problem, guys. So,
I appreciate this feedback. And I know it's coming from an absolute pro in the industry. And so it's really important feedback for us to take, and I think it's obviously a very frank perspective.
And Joe, just one little thing.
Yeah.
Not only do I have Dry Dock, who I took over, that was literally a business that was going out of business because the previous owner ran it into the ground and brought it back to where Carl Gallo had it. And then on top of that, we've had consecutive 4-year, 2-year contracts renewed at Silvermine Golf Club. So I know that we have good products. I know we have good systems. So when I hear my reputation tarnished in public or on public calls, I take it personally. And I'm one of those people that I've bitten my tongue for a couple of years now. But I can tell you, I'm not going to do it. If the negativity gets out and there's negative stuff that comes out in the press, I'm not going to bite my tongue this time around. I'm just letting everybody know, Joe, you've been a great guy to deal with. You've always been honest and upfront with me. A lot of these guys on the board, same thing. But like I said, there's been a lot of stuff up there that I've bitten my tongue, especially when it comes to my staff being berated by certain people. That's not going to happen for the next couple months, because my staff gets berated again, there's going to be issues. Sorry.
No, like I said, I appreciate it. It's good feedback for us to take, and I think there's going to be more discussion on this topic later in the evening. So I'm going to ask if we, board members, we can just kind of take this, internalize it for a couple of minutes. We're going to go into executive session and discuss some things, and then we'll come back out and we can have kind of a more broad discussion. But again, Don, I thank you very much. And we'll have the opportunity to talk a little bit more later.
All right, guys. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So I don't think there's any other public comment to do. And so we can go into report of the chair. And in the interest of time, because I believe this is potentially has the potential to be a longish meeting, I'm just gonna keep it to not much of a report and go back directly to item number 5, and we can start in with the management reports. And I'm going to ask again, I don't think if it's written in the agenda already, if it's already written out, I don't think we need to be reading it. But high points, and then if there's any questions from the board, we can do that. But would like to kind of keep this as brief as possible. So Paul, go ahead and please take it away.
All right. Thank you, Joe. I can be really brief here. Well, it's been a really good 7 months here at Oak Hills. A lot of golf, and the last month wasn't too bad considering some of the wet weather on the weekends. but our course is in good condition despite the weather. And we're seeing plenty of golfers still Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. Not so much during the week, unless it's a really warm day. But we have seen rounds slow down due to the aeration of greens last week, the loss of light in the afternoon, and a little bit of colder weather. Pretty much we're open 7:20 to 5:20. Golf shop about 7 to 5:20. And we had 3 golf outings the last 30 days that went very well. In total, we've had 19 for the year with almost 1,900 golf outing guests, and we're already booking outings for next year. Our Oak Hills men's and women's golf associations are pretty much finished for the year. We have 1 men's event left and 1 women's event left. We had a junior club championship. We had 60 juniors originally signed up in September, but we got rained out. And when we had our event, we had 41 continue to play. We set up a combo course recently, green and white tees, and some blue and white tees. It's a mixture of tees that'll help some of the players who just want to go a little forward, make the game a little easier, and it'll help speed up play. We did listen to our customers. They wanted to get some warm-up nets. We have 2 nice new warm-up nets, and we'll be putting them up this coming week. And we also have been making a big effort to help Jim Michelle with the golf course and some divot parties and people doing divots and really getting the word out there that we want to take care of a course. So we have some divots boxes going to be set up around the golf course, and 48% of our golfers are walkers. A majority of those have trolleys or push carts, and we have 100 extra bottles that we're going to give out to our golfers who are here a lot, and they're going to assist us with kind of filling divots on the golf course. Anyway, our memberships are up this year from last year, and our golf carts are doing well. I think our green revenue is up 10% from 2022. I think our cart revenue is up almost 18% from 2022. It's always a tough time of year right now. We lost a lot of college kids, but recently we've hired 5 new staff members, and we have an outside staff of 22 and inside staff of 11. We're a total of 33. Normally we have 38 to 40. And in closing, we are having a staff golf event this Monday here at Oak Hills, and we're going to have dinner to follow elsewhere. And I guess that's all I have if anyone has any questions.
Been using Zoom and Teams for 3.5 years now. I'll get better at it someday. So Paul, about the carts, the only question I have is there like a winterization that needs to be done, or is it just pretty much store them and they're ready in spring?
Oh yeah. They're inside and they're good, but so we basically just put them away and they're fine. Nothing really to do to close them down.
Paul, I just want to jump in there real quick. Yeah, with the new cart fleet that has these lithium batteries, it's great for storing in the winter. You don't have to winterize it. We used to have to do something to the batteries to kind of make them last the winter, and then we don't have to do that anymore. So very easy peasy.
Good. Any other questions for Paul?
Nice report.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we can move on to the report of the superintendent, Mr. Jim Shell.
All right, the course looks good. The rain's been helping thicken our grass, rough fairways, greens, tees, everything. The rain though kind of makes navigating the course a little difficult. There's a lot of wet spots, a lot of mushy spots, soft spots, ruts from carts and equipment. But one of the benefits is we've kept the overnight irrigation system off since August 7th, which is really unheard of. And Mark, actually, regarding that water bill, I would like to get a copy of it because I just can't fathom how we could have spent that much money when I haven't turned on the sprinklers at all.
Yeah. Tomorrow or Monday, let's get together
Yep,
and get the last couple bills.
Since we aerated last week, we've turned them on a little bit here and there, but not due to anything being too dry. That's for sure. It's just to push the grass through the sand that we put down on the greens. Our new rough mower we went through a week of trial and error, and we've got it set up perfect. It's unbelievable. We're cutting lower than we ever have, which I'm sure a lot of golfers have noticed. They have to have. I don't know how they wouldn't. We've got it set up to mulch the clippings, so we don't, on a normal time of the year, we don't have to blow the clippings in the rough to spread them out. And maybe we'll have to do that in the spring when we get a spring flush, but we'll see. It is a little harder to get wet spots done. Most of the weight rides on two big tires in the back. So my guy, you know, he's learning, and it is a learning curve, but it's okay if he doesn't get to a spot one week, we'll get it the next. And I think that the next item that I wanted to talk about, I think we're going to talk about in an executive session about the bunkers.
Correct.
Okay. And that's really, I really don't have that much to report other than the greens are recovering very well. Next week we'll be fully back to normal.
Okay. Any questions for Jim?
I just have one, Jim. That new rough mower, is that the one that we approved last meeting? Is that the one you're
Yes.
talking about?
Yep.
That came in that quickly. That was ordered, came in that fast. Wow.
The dealer had one coming in to just have in stock for sale. And
Wow.
they
That's
got it
good.
the next week that
Wow.
we got it approved, and they brought it right down.
And everything was within the terms that we approved. I think we approved like maximum terms for the purchase price and the interest rate, and everything was within that, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Let's move on to Mark, report of the controller.
Sure. Just two quick things. I just want to address the poor revenue for September. It's all weather related. I think everyone here is aware we've had 7. We're going to go on 8 now consecutive weekends with a rainy Saturday. I believe every time it was Saturday or Sunday, and that definitely hurts. But you know, just to keep that in perspective, for the last 11 out of 12 months, we've beaten budget on revenues. I think actually the last 14 out of 15 months, but I haven't confirmed that. So I just a thought. And most of those months we've also beaten prior month numbers. So for September, you know, you can't always beat every month. So for one month we did have we didn't beat budget, and we were below last year as well. It happens. It's going to happen again, but it's certainly nothing to worry about. The only other thing I was going to say is that we did, Denise and I, to follow up on the investments, Denise and I went to Chase, and we did open up a 8-month CD with $225,000. So we are still trying to work. Tomorrow, Denise and I have a call with the city's comptroller and deputy comptroller to go over some investment options for municipalities, which we hope will be a good option for us.
So, Mark, from a percentage point of view on the revenue side, what would you say we were down 10%, 20%, 30% compared to budget compared to last year, if you have an idea?
The numbers aren't finalized yet, but I think it was
Ballpark.
somewhere around 15% below. So not maybe even less. It was
Okay.
It was not a horrendous month, but 3 out of 4 Saturdays, and some of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
it's
also
miserable.
into Friday and other
no,
days.
miserable.
We did have some nice days during the week, which did help offset it, but you're
Sure.
just not going to get the same revenue.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks.
Sure.
Mark, the 225 is obviously now invested, and I mean, you know, simple investment, but still it's throwing off an interest rate. That's included in this, I'll just say, very impressive number of 836 in bullet number 4.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
It's a good position to be in.
Yeah, no complaints from me.
Just thinking a little bit ahead, obviously the audit is going to come, and it's going to hopefully come. Any sense of timing, really?
Well, we can discuss in executive session, but there's going to have to be a change made to some of the numbers.
Okay. Just for everybody's reference,
Yep.
executive session has rules about what you discuss in it, and they need to be noticed. So we may not be discussing that in executive session because it's not on the agenda for executive session.
Sure. So
Okay.
maybe I misworded that. We'll be discussing the reason that for the change, regardless of it having to do with the audit. So anyway,
Got it. So that's just a kind of global notice. Excuse me. But okay, so there may be some changes. So that may be a little delayed. After that, we'll trigger a 1% of audited revenue, golf revenue, payment to the city, and that will be a good thing to get over to them.
yes.
And I just want to kind of make sure it's on your and Denise's plate that December meeting, our annual meeting, is where we need to review and vote on pricing for next season, right? As we get into membership sales and as we get into the actual season where we're talking about what the greens fees are and what the season pass fees will be. So need to make sure that that's done no later than December. Personally would love a draft for discussion in November, and even in public, not really for the final vote, but just something that we could react to and give feedback on in November if that would be doable.
Well, again, I don't know if you're addressing that to me, but again, I don't set sales prices. That's not what controllers do. But I think between Jim Holiday and Paul, I certainly provide quite a bit of analysis, and I'll be happy to do that again.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's really where I'm coming from. And
Yeah.
I know in the past that when I was treasurer, I worked with you fairly closely on it. But yeah, so yeah, you're right. I'm putting it here because it's the money that we get. But yeah, it's a team effort that comes from a lot of folks, and Jim Holiday, I do expect you to kind of be in the middle of that effort to make sure that all parties are working in the same direction. So we can touch base. That's a very operational thing, so I don't want to get too much into it, but just in timing in terms of the meetings, and so we can set the right expectation for what discussions are going to happen. That one has to happen by the December meeting, or in the December meeting. Okay. Any other questions for Mark on the financials? Okay. Moving right along to Jim Holiday and report of the general manager.
Thanks, Joe. My report was distributed to all of you. It is also posted on the website. It is really a recap of the efforts of all of your 4 staff. And I hope that you have read it, will read it, or if you have any questions, let me know via email or give me a call. There's 30 bullet points in there, and I'm certainly not going to read them tonight. So I think that it's been a productive 90 days, and looking forward to the next 90. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. I love it. I mean, it's detailed. It ranges in scope from light bulbs to moving bunkers. It really does show the breadth of things that get worked on in terms of operations and maintenance at the park. So I thought it was a great report, and I love the distribution mode. Just kind of sending it out for everybody to see. I think it makes a lot of sense. Any questions?
No, I'm just going to say that the survey clearly showed us that people want to know what we're doing, and so that we thought that was the best way to do it. Glad you appreciate it.
Any questions for Jim?
I just had one question. I know I was interested in some of the golf part. You mentioned that some of the golf paths were paved. Did you get everything done that you anticipated in October in the golf paths?
No, Rich, actually they're arriving on Monday, October 23, to do the cart paths and some additional Well, we'll just leave it at cart paths. There's some additional areas of roadways that they're going to be doing for safety reasons, but no, they're actually doing it on Monday, the 23rd.
All right, thanks.
Anything else for Jim? All right, close item 5, and we can move into item 6, committee reports, and we can start with tennis. And Denise Brown is not here yet. So we won't have a report from there. Rich, I know you're very involved in tennis. Is there anything you'd like to kind of notify us of?
Well, I will say that Denise and Chris Mayot did a great job with some of the USTA tournaments and the clinics in the fall. I was away for a couple of weeks, but I did help for, I think, 3 of the clinics. And it was so nice to see the USTA clinics there and the young kids playing. And kudos to Denise and Chris for really doing some of the first USTA tournaments ever, I think, at Oak Hills. And it was really nice to see those courts being used in the afternoon by these young kids. It was just great to see. And the other thing that, of course, happened, I finished Monday. We had the pergola completed in terms of construction. I think there's some caulking that Jim pointed out. It still needs to be done, but wow, I think next year in the summer when the heat's out in that patio, it'll be just such a relief to have people congregate there outside the clubhouse and get together. And it just, thanks to Jamie Smith and John Kuzo, who kind of put that together. And I know they're planning to have a little bit of a dedication for Andy Gillard in his memory. He passed away a year ago in November, and I think they're going to plan to have a little function there in the next few weeks. But it's really a great addition. Thanks also to Jim Holiday. Really took over the kind of management of the construction, and that's a facility that really embellished the whole tennis facility there. And I think it'll be there for many years to come to be enjoyed by a lot of people.
Yeah, that was really great. The pictures, the renderings and the drawings were beautiful, and you got every sense that it would be great. And then seeing it in reality come to life, it's way better just in the reality of it. So it was really nice to see.
And the tennis friend. The leadership group is going to have a meeting next Friday. So there's the 5 of us will get together. We'll talk about some of the stuff that we're going to be doing next year in terms of fundraising and whatever. But we did have a good turnout with our drop-in. Looking at the numbers, we had like 600 players come to the drop-in over the summer. And we raised about $1,500 in terms of funds for the tennis facility. So it was a good weekend drop-in that we've done, and had a couple other fundraisers too that worked out well for us.
Yeah, and Rich, kudos to you and thanks for shepherding this whole pergola project through the regulatory process. It's not easy getting it through all these different committees, and you're very diligent in working through it, and you did a great job. Thank you.
I had no idea what the permit process was in the town of Norwalk, and it was much more extensive than I ever imagined. But in the end, I could see why, getting the health department approval and, making sure we have access to that well and some of the things it was fine. It worked out fine, and I was glad to help. Thanks.
All right. Next up is Supporters of Oak Hills and Jerry Crowley. Jerry, anything for us?
I don't have a formal report, but Mark and I will be working on the numbers to wrap up the year over the next 2 months. That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah.
And Nature Advisory Committee, I don't think we have any representatives from there. So item C under 6 will just close that. Jim Holiday, I see we have 25 minutes allocated to old business, new business. I think that's probably intended for like after we go into an executive session and after we come out back into public session for any votes. Am I thinking about that right?
I like your thinking on that, Joe. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then the next item is to go into item 8, the executive session, and to talk through some contract negotiations. So what'll end up happening is members of the Oak Hills Park Authority, and I'll invite Jim Holliday to join us right now. And I would also invite Don Mastronardi from DDSA to join us, but I see that they're not here. But maybe they've already preempted and gone into that session. I will invite those two non-authority members into the executive session with us. And what we will do is leave this session, go into the other Zoom link that we got, and then have our discussion. So this will go blank for a little while. Okay, everybody understand what the movements are?
Yep.
Okay. See us in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Jim, I think you gotta pause the recording.
All right. Thanks everybody for your patience in moving back and forth between meetings. So we discussed in executive session an item that requires voting. And so can I get a motion to consider for vote? Alan, I see you talking, but you're on mute.
So
I think we actually have to state the motion, Alan.
I'd like a motion to authorize Joanne Darasco, Chair of the Oak Hills Park Authority, to enter into a discussion with Dry Dock Smoking Aces to talk about the dissolution of the agreement between Dry Dock Smoking Aces and the Oak Hills Park Authority.
Okay. Thank you for that. I think when we get to the final form of that motion, we should strengthen it to discuss, decide, and execute that dissolution agreement. Let me lay out then what the stipulations of that agreement would be. And then, the authority members can enter into discussion about it. I would note that this is a mutual agreement that both parties, OHPA and DDSA, consider it to be time to kind of go in different directions. And I think it's just a realistic thing to say that this is how we want to kind of move forward, and it's the right time. I think it's time for taking stock in this particular part of the business, because we are moving into the winter season when it is a lot slower. So there's a bunch of things about this that make sense. So being a mutual agreement, we would have, per our current contract, we would have a 60-day minimum to terminate, but we can go for as long as we want. And in consideration that there are or maybe parties that get booked by DDSA, we have an end date of currently TBD, but it's seeming like it's either December 31st or sometime in early January. And so stipulation number 1 of the dissolution agreement would be that the end date would be a specified date, either 12/31 or some date in early January with prorated rent. And I will determine that in discussion with DDSA based on their schedule. And that should be determined in the next couple of days. Stipulation number 2 would be that past due obligations under the current contract which were really related to a prior contract past due obligations would be waived. This is an amount in the area of just under $11,000. I think it's $10,700. So that would be waived. And in partial exchange for that, DDSA has offered to leave items that are kind of more permanent in nature that are DDSA property. One good example of which is a commercial coffee maker that is plumbed into the system, into in the kitchen building. And so, you know, that's the kind of a partial exchange for that waiving. So that will be the third stipulation, is that more permanent items owned by DDSA will be left for and considered the property of OHPA. And then the fourth part of that agreement, the dissolution agreement, would be that all other terms of the existing agreement remain in effect, which are a sampling of which would be the rental amount, the security deposit amount, the service level, all of that would still remain in effect. And so those are the four: end date, past due obligations waived, in partial exchange leaving some items, and then all other terms of the contract are in effect through the end date. That's what I would be requesting, or I'm not requesting, that's what we are discussing, giving me the authority to negotiate with DDSA. So any questions, comments from the authority members on that? Okay. Don, as the representative of DDSA here, any questions, comments from you? I'd invite you to make any if you have any.
Nope, I'm all set. I think we went through a lot of it in the last session.
Yeah. Okay. I want to thank you. Throughout the whole thing, you've been very straightforward, very honest to work with. It's been a learning session for me. I mean, I've learned more about that business. It's a different part of it from being a busboy when I was, 19. But it's been fascinating, and I've really appreciated learning parts of it from you, and seeing kind of how it works. So I appreciate it. It's, I think, part of the mutual aspect of this is that it frees us up to go in different directions. And I think, from, as I think of it, it's a capital allotment for you, for your business, and you can free up that capital to kind of move in a different direction as well. So it's kind of mutually beneficial in that regard.
So Don, if I spend a couple of minutes and say, I think of all the authority members, I'm the one that's probably spent more time with you than anybody, especially in these last couple of years. And it's been a little learning experience for me. I do have knowledge, a lot of knowledge in the industry, but not in this particular niche of the industry. And I think, last year was tough for all of us, learning experience. But this year, you stepped up to the plate. We negotiated something. You stayed open. You were there. You were open. And I know in this industry, where you make money is the bar and private parties. The restaurant, you lose money, and staffing levels, it's really hard, especially post-COVID. What it's taken. It's a tough area, but I'd like to just go on the record of thanking you for your efforts and what you've done during this last couple of years. Thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, it was a learning. Our model would work up there, and honestly, I think you guys, if you make some tweaks, and I would make it more of a season, because that's what we do at Silvermine, and it works well. Because it's April again, and then they allow us to do Christmas parties and stuff. We do parties throughout the year, which helps subsidize a lot of the rent. And we do, with the model up there is really good. Plus, we got members that pay every month. That helps. But, I think that are realistic too. I know we have a lot of old guard in the Norwalk, and I understand, when people talk about they want cheap food, but things and the costs are always going to be different. The overhead in a halfway house is a lot different than in a restaurant setting. I had people that come down and went over this last time. I was like, well, go anywhere too. So I think people, with inflation and everything, and I get that. And we try to be reasonable and keep things in stock, from beers range from $5 all the way up to 12, and it's, depending on if you want to double. And we try to lower the prices and be a little more reasonable. I went and I called the Quattro Pazzi guys because I have a relationship with them. I talked to Joe, the two guys before them, and I know they're kind of crazy. Arik and those guys, I don't really know those. With the golfers supporting the restaurant. So I don't, and negativity that's been there for a decade. Restaurant a chance. But again, the same stuff that keeps coming, these owners dealt with too. And Quattro Pazzi more of a higher end model, and they didn't really cater, focus more on the parties, the private stuff. But 10 years ago, so I would say let the person do almost like a grill room and keep the hours a little down. Just giving you kind of some feedback.
Yeah.
I would just, the halfway house, our money, and that's why we get into this time of year, and it hurt restaurant. So now we're going to be cutting staff in the restaurant. Probably going to be cutting most of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're probably going to go to a real good full-time guy making, 25. We're just not making that much. He'll make more than we'll do in the week for the food. So we'd go to more of a really simplified menu and just keep it. Kind of struggled with too is like, I didn't want to throw a frozen burger on there that we paid 50 cents. Affects our brand too. Like, oh, that's a dry dock burger. The burger we're doing up here because it works better, and that's kind of where we struggle going back and forth. And never to crimp on the quality of the food because we just didn't want it to affect the brand.
Yep.
And they have that kind of set stand where they're going to go, this is what we're going to get. These are kind of work, but it's going to have to be, like I said, a grab and go deli kind of.
Yes. I think we're gonna take this feedback. I said it earlier, useful feedback from somebody who knows the industry. And so we'll take this feedback and kind of internalize it and take it to heart as we go into whatever chapter comes next. But I thank you for it, Don.
Like I said, Joe, Alan, you guys,
useful.
Jim, I think he jumped right in with both feet and really was a real steward of helping us, and he was all on board. Pop on Mark has always been great to deal with, and on the accounting side, and we have a good relationship, and it's been a pleasure working with you guys too. And like I said, I'm here to help, stuff, and like I said, I can tell you, and like I said, I wish all the best because I think it's a great golf course.
Yeah.
Excellent.
golf course in great shape, and I think he's an underestimated golf course. And I could tell you his reputation is sterling across town too. And
We don't say Sterling.
what's that?
I said we don't say Sterling here.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
we're better than Sterling. Don't worry. He'll
Oof.
kill better. But
All right. Very good.
it's top notch. So
Thank you, Don.
Great
Um,
working with you, Don.
Thank you, Don.
so
you're welcome, Denise. Oh, Denise, pleasure with you too. Sorry, I didn't realize you're still on.
Thank you.
So can we get a little reframing of that motion to make it a little stronger to actually give me authority to execute it on behalf of the authority? And Alan, I don't know if you want to make it again or somebody else wants to do it.
I will reiterate to give Joanne Drasko the authority to negotiate the dissolution of the agreement between DDSA and Oaklands Park Authority.
Okay. Negotiate and execute. So let's just make sure that we
Negotiate and execute. My
Okay,
apologies.
perfect.
Yes.
Thank you, Alan. Can we get a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. And I'll do a roll call vote for this. And I think everybody knows how I'll vote, but just signal yay or nay as I call your name. I'll start. I'm going to vote yay. Alan Dutton,
Yay.
Robert Stowers. I saw on mute, but said
Yay.
Jennifer McAllister,
Yay.
DJ Trimboli,
Yay.
Denise Brown,
Yay.
and Rich Dellinger.
Yay, and thanks to Don and all who made this a mutual agreement. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Then Don, we'll be in touch to kind of hammer out that last item, which I think is the end date, and then we'll kind of go through the letter sending and all that part of it. Thank you.
Tomorrow, I'll push her tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right, and now
Thanks, everybody.
thanks,
you,
Don.
Thanks, Don.
Right.
Now we're going to go back into executive session. This was really set up this way to be respectful of Don's time. It's, the business that he's in requires him to be kind of on site in an evening. And so wanted to kind of be done with that as quickly as possible. But we do have a couple of more discussions on contract negotiations to talk about in executive session. And so for the second part, I would like to move into executive session and invite non-authority members Jim Holliday, Paul Alexander, Mark Gartner, and Jim Shell to the discussion. And we can go right now. So we can all move into that executive link.
Excuse me, one moment, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Since we do have these, should we leave Golf Cove out again, or should we allow them in at this point to the executive session? It is anticipated that we're going to go back into the open session to vote on the request from Jim Shell. So should I let Golf Cove in now, or should I wait till we're done, leave open session for the third time and go back to executive? Did I lose you?
I see. At this point, we should also invite representatives from Golf Cove to the executive session, is what you're saying.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Then yes, that's how we'll do it. And we can break this link and go into the executive session link.
Yeah, and Jim can begin as soon as that meeting is reopened, and Golf Cove will be waiting, listening for them for their presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're pausing.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for putting in the long night. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Rich. Do I have a second?
I second it.
I'll second.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
discussions.